Hello friends. Kung Fu Master. We associate these words with great will, discipline, and superhuman self-control. At least, those of us who believe the movies. When we watch movies or videos on YouTube and see what the masters of Kung Fu, Karate, and other martial arts are capable of, it seems to us that people who have mastered these martial arts are literally invulnerable. The martial arts of Japan and China have long taken over the world. In virtually any town, you can easily find a gym where you can get an interesting experience doing karate for a relatively low price. While real Shaolin masters can perform such miracles that scientists simply cannot understand how that's even possible. But is that really so? How effective are those skills in a real street fight? It is difficult to say which type of martial arts has the strongest fighters, but no one doubts that sumo fighters are the heaviest. Sumo wrestlers use their body weight and quick attack to overpower their opponent. However, this kind of fight has long since turned into a spectacle and a tribute to the Japanese ancient culture. Moreover, the techniques of the sumo wrestlers are unlikely to be effective in fights without rules. Here, for example, in a fight between a sumo wrestler and an MMA fighter. Who do you think will win? On the one hand, the sumo wrestler has a clear weight advantage, but on the other hand, we all know the saying that the larger they are, the louder they fall. Just take a look at this. It looks like the sumo wrestler decided to strangle his opponent in an embrace. Well, that's a very effective technique. Some martial arts fighters claim to have mastered hypnosis and that it helps them defeat their opponents, but the footage from this video seems to have been staged. You have probably heard about the incredible abilities of Kung Fu masters and have seen what Shaolin monks are capable of. However, this man took out one of these masters without much difficulty. One can study philosophy for years, train every muscle, but one precise hit can put an end to one's reputation in an instant. The Chinese understanding of Kung Fu differs significantly from the Western one. In the West, Kung Fu is perceived as a means of defeating the opponent, while in China, the emphasis is on understanding one's path and promoting virtue. The philosophy of Kung Fu is based on the elements of Taoism, Zen Buddhism, and Confucianism. Chinese martial arts distinguish between the concepts of external and internal Kung Fu. It is believed that the external Kung Fu trains muscles, bones, and joints, while the internal strengthens the spirit, ki energy, and the mind. Therefore, inner Kung Fu can be practiced at a later age. Why doesn't Kung Fu work in real life? The thing is that the capabilities of modern Shaolin monks are greatly exaggerated. There are only a few true masters. Moreover, most of their techniques simply look impressive, but aren't particularly effective in real combat. Most of these fighters are actually more like clowns, but even a real Kung Fu master wouldn't have the time to show the beauty of this martial art if they were to meet a boxer in the ring. Because unlike movie fights, this fight wouldn't have a script to follow. Thanks to the movies, martial arts have become very popular. Many people wanted to master some type of martial arts in order to at least be like the heroes from the films. Demand gave rise to many offers, and thus, strange trainers undertook teaching others. Just look at these shots. I don't even know how weak and cowardly the opponent must be for him to be defeated by simply rolling on the floor and swinging a bat. Although the master seems to have impressed his students. And this trainer decided to advertise his self-defense classes and demonstrate his skills to the audience. Just look at how easily he defeats the attackers. I just wonder if he could repeat at least one of these tricks with people who weren't paid for the performance. I think the answer is obvious. Here's another master who came up with a new kind of martial arts: Russian Kung Fu. In fact, it's the same as Chinese, but only before practicing it, one must drink a couple shots of vodka. No long or exhausting training is required. In everything else, it is exactly the same kung fu as the Chinese kind. This man decided to demonstrate his skills on a live TV show. The question of who taught him and where doesn't even arise. The much more interesting question is, how did the presenter manage to maintain a serious expression on her face while looking at all this? She's the true master here, in my opinion. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments. And this master was so close to victory, but in the end, he wasn't strong enough to hold the enemy on his shoulders. Wing Chun is a Chinese martial art that incorporates many different techniques. Wing Chun fighting is based on the idea that the student learns through training. Evading the line of the attack is complemented by instant, straight-line counterattacks at extremely close distances. The fights often end with knee and elbow strikes. Wing Chun is a martial art that implies a quick victory over the enemy without harming oneself. In mastering this style, the emphasis isn't put on the development of physical qualities so much as on improving the fighting technique, which includes swift blows and strong defense. The name Wing Chun literally translates to eternal spring. This style became incredibly popular thanks to Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee has often been accused of being nowhere as good off-set as he was on-set. This man in a yellow suit that looks a bit like a banana decided to defend the honor of the Wing Chun martial art, but it looks like he was just being chased around the ring. However, we must admit that this Mr. Banana isn't nearly as good as the famous Bruce Lee, so we won't draw conclusions about Wing Chun by looking at this fight alone. Here's another Wing Chun master who is easily taken down by an MMA fighter with just one blow. Here's another fight. It seems that such fights don't last long, and once again, the Wing Chun master lost shamefully. This fighter withstood the first blow, but the second blow knocked him down. It all took the opponents just 3 seconds. One of the dancers said that he knew Kung Fu, but there was a man in the audience who didn't know any kind of martial arts, but used to bully kids back in his school days. As you can see, Kung Fu doesn't really help against street hooligans. So can a Wing Chun master beat anyone? Well, of course, another Wing Chun master. Only in order for such a fight to look as impressive as in the Bruce Lee movies, one would have to train as much as Bruce Lee did, but as of now, it's just a pitiful sight. Nevertheless, some trainers are actually worth learning from. There are trainers around the world who are ready to teach spectacular tricks, which might not help one become invincible, but at the very least will help one break the internet and maybe even become an action movie star. The main thing is to find a real master and not a fraud. Friends, that's all for today. Like the video, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time.